Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar of the Faculty of Science and Engineering from Linköping University. First of all, I want to congratulate all of you who are here for being admitted to your master's program. And if you are here, it probably means that you have been accepted to the Masters in Applied Ethology and Animal Biology or Chemistry, Ecology and Sustainable Development, Protein Science, Design, Sustainability Engineering and Management, Biomedical Engineering, Computer Science, Cybersecurity, Data Science and Information Engineering, Electronics Engineering, Industrial Engineering and Management, Intelligent Transport System and Logistics, and or Mechanical Engineering. So welcome to all of you. My name is Natalia. I'm an international student from Brazil. I'm currently in my second year master's in design under the Faculty of Science and Engineering. And you?
Yes, so my name is Mikael Axén. I'm an associate professor in mechanical engineering.
Yeah, and I'm JP. I'm from the Philippines. Like Natalia, I'm in my second year of master's, taking up sustainability engineering and management here at LIU.
Oh, nice. So basically, all three of us, we are very close to the Faculty of Science and Engineering, especially to the department, to the section of mechanical engineering, right, Mikael? And JP, I want to start with you telling, how was your first weeks here? How were you received by the LIU crew?
Wow, to be honest, it was an exciting week. So at that time, there were a lot of programs and orientations hosted by the university, and plus the fact that there are a lot of interactions with different student associations that had like body programs, like meet and greet programs as well. It was a very exciting and fun week, actually. Yeah.
Nice. Mikael, can you want to share a bit about how the professors also prepare for that, what the faculty expects from the incoming students?
Yeah, so as teachers, we always meet the students in a respective program at start, and we try to tell about what is the expectations of the students, how does studies work here in Sweden, and what are like common ways of teaching.
Oh, nice. Yes, I think what everybody can expect on the first weeks, the most important event is the roll call, as you probably heard about it. Yesterday we also had a webinar about it. So you need to be present for your roll call. But this is a very chill event, it's nothing special, you don't need to prepare, you just come. But I think besides it, like JP mentioned, it's very nice, the social programs. So I remember, for example, in my first weeks that our mechanical engineering sections prepared barbecues, we had speed friending, we had several events to meet new students. And it's also nice because we also have a lot of Swedish students involved in that. So in each section, you will have the international masters, but you also have a lot of contact with the Swedish students. And going a little bit beyond the social contact, how do you think people deal with this mixed classrooms? Because it's not only for social programs, but in the classroom we also have international and locals.
Yeah, exactly. So we try to mix like international students, Swedish student, exchange students being here for like one semester. And we think that this is really fun and interesting, and you learn a lot from each other. And also when doing like group works, then we at least try to mix these different groups. Yeah. So we think that it's a good way of learning.
And do you have good experiences or any difficulties maybe? I don't know, because of the cultural differences or something that you gained or...
Actually, not on the challenges, but maybe on the opportunities in collaborating with like-minded individuals as well. You get to meet people from different backgrounds, different countries, different point of views, and you get to share like your similarities of sort, and of course your passion. In my case, passion for sustainable solutions. So yeah.
Nice. And do you have many Swedish students in your class?
Maybe not as much compared to the other programs, but yeah, and more or less our groups are well distributed in terms of different countries and such. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I think it's more of like it was distributed. You got group mates from these parts of the country and group mates from other parts as well. So yeah.
That's
And in terms of background as well, I think it's more or less distributed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think in my course we are a big crew, but we don't have that many Swedish students, but we have a big diversity of countries participating. So it is very interesting to collaborate with each other and how we learn, especially since I'm in the design program. Everything that involves creativity, I believe that the more people, the more perspectives you have, the better will be the outcome. But of course, it also applies to other areas. But I want to ask you then, like, JP, because Mikael mentioned the group works. How was it for you? Not only the group works, but other, like, did you have any surprises when coming to LIU and how the master is taught? How was your adaptation?
Yeah, maybe this is like a good surprise. I didn't expect the type of group work and maybe the approach. So maybe what the university taught me out as of now and what my lecturers taught me as of now is like we tend to have this interdisciplinary and problem solving approach. There's no one size fits all solution. You get to explore what type of approach you want to do, how you want to do it. And of course, your teachers will always be there to guide you along the way. So yeah, it's more of like we're not getting instructions like you need to do this and that. It's more like do this in an exploratory manner. So yeah, it was innovative, if I may say. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. And do you want to back up on that, maybe on why do you think this approach could be valuable? Because I think LIU is very different in that sense. So how do you think this contributes, this type of to build knowledge, you know?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I think that to build knowledge, you need to do it in different ways. I mean, you need like the theoretical things where you have like lectures and maybe a final written exam, but you also need to like use your knowledge in some context. And typically you do that in like project works, in labs and such things where you work continuously during the course and then have some like supervisory meetings with a teacher and maybe some final presentation and in a final report like that. So we try to mix it.
That's very interesting. And do you think how, if you could, maybe not exactly, but if you could get like proportions, how do you think the courses are usually structured in the amount of theory and field work or labs?
Yeah, I think it's really different depending on the program. I guess, if, for example, in the design master program, I don't think you have any written exams, for example. And in some other programs, it's more common to have it. But I think in all programs, I think project work is a central core somehow. And also like more, there are some programs that are more focused on like labs and those kind of things. So I think it's really different.
Yeah, it can vary a lot. Especially, I think, for example, we mentioned the animal applied ethology and animal biology, where I think they also have a lot of field work with the animals, which we don't, of course. But it's interesting how you have this big variety of options here. It's very nice. So Mikael mentioned the exams. How was it for you? Because I think the exams in Sweden are quite an event. At least, so I don't have. My course is one of the few privileged ones where we don't have written exams. But how was your experience?
If I'm going to sum it up, maybe the exam will push you to think critically. As Mikael mentioned a while ago, like you're asked a question and you get to think critically on how to answer that, because I was exposed in a lot of exams in which it was in an essay type, in an essay format. So yeah, you get to motivate your answer in terms of why. More or less when we have these types of discussions, maybe after, there are like fixed answers, but at the same time, you're open to explore your point of view on why you motivated these answers and such.
That's nice. And do you think, in general, for you, in your experience, was a very demanding change, maybe from comparing to your bachelor's, or like because I know you were studying before you came to your master, so even maybe just starting to study again, do you think it was like a difficult adaptation to get in the rhythm of things?
So basically, like, if you're gonna take an exam and if you're gonna do a master's here, like, you need to study as well. But aside from the individual studying, you need to collaborate with your group mates. You need to learn together. You need to consult maybe your professors and your lecturers to get more knowledge from it as well. Because maybe we're taught to look at this specific problem at this lens, but it's always good to see this type of problem from an outside perspective, both from your teachers, from your professors, from your friends and group mates as well.
Oh, nice. Maybe we could have also a perspective of what the professors expect from the students, because I think we always mention how the students expect a lot of things from the university and the city, but what is expected from us too, like, on your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, as teachers, we of course want the students to be motivated and really want to study and put the time that is needed into the studies. And we also want them to be like curious, really try to find solutions that maybe is not the obvious one. And since we have these group works in many courses, we of course want the students to really show themselves from their best side in the group work, really to try to collaborate and do your part. And if there are some argumentations in the group, I mean, you really put in the effort to try to solve them. Of course, you can ask us teachers as well, and we can help out, but really try your best. And usually that is enough.
Nice. And could you share with us maybe, because for example, in my program, we have a great change throughout the program. So we have 3 main tracks, and you can specialize in what you like the most or you want to get to know more. So throughout the course, if I want, I can do 1 specialization per semester, for example, besides the mandatory courses. But I know that not all programs are like that. So this is one case that you can have several elective courses that you choose how you want to specialize. But for example, how was it for you to build your overall program structure?
Maybe from our side, because we don't have some sort of specialization track. So our master's program is between the Division of Environmental Technology and Management, of course, the Department of Energy Systems. So one department specializes in like the circular economy. Actually, both divisions specialize on circular economy, industrial symbiosis, things as those. The environmental technology and management department, more or less, I learned more of like life cycle assessments, material flows, product service engineering, while on the energy systems part, it's more of like industrial energy systems, energy management, energy auditing. So it's like I want to take some bits and pieces from those 2 departments in order to build like the necessary skills, like which I think would be good for the career that I aspire. So yeah, I took some courses from one, and I also took courses from the other one as well. So yeah.
And would you say, Mika, that this is a common thing? So the courses, of course, like you mentioned, every course has their specialities, and but do you think that in general this kind of cross-disciplinary approach, like the chance of mix and matching different courses, it would be something unique from LIU, or like something that LIU puts an effort on in general?
Yes, I mean, in LIU we are kind of famous for our interdisciplinary both research and education. But I think this also differs from different programs, of course. I mean, if you study, for example, the program which I am responsible for, the mechanical engineering program, I mean, that's kind of most courses are within mechanical engineering core, like. But there are some other programs, for example, sustainability engineering and management, which are more like cross-disciplinary. So, and there is, yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix. But I would say that it's also different because, I mean, at some programs you have like you were talking about, like different tracks, and you can like choose to specialize or take a bit of each. And I guess in your program, Sustainability Engineering Management, you have a few electives in the final semester. And in other programs, you have like different tracks already from semester 1, which you can choose. And in some other programs, it's more like fixed. You take these courses because everything is needed to really get in-depth knowledge in this particular subject. So it's different.
But that's an interesting approach too. And also, now that we mentioned, kind of this could be the overall structure of the program. And I think we can move to a very important part that a lot of students get curious and excited about. That is the situation we are now, that is doing our master thesis. So I think maybe we can start with you, Mika. Like, what, as a professor, what do you expect to see in a thesis? Like, what kind of either motivation, but also the delivery time that the student should spend on it? What is expected from us?
Yeah. So in most programs, the final semester is totally devoted to the master thesis. And in the master thesis, you like use all your previous knowledge, both from like the master, of course, but also from your bachelor. And you really apply it on some problem, either a problem connected to research or connected to industry. And I mean, the master thesis is like the final thing you do. And we expect that the students really do things that has never been done before in that particular field. So with the help of like your supervisor and an examiner, you should really dig deeply into some kind of problem or similar and really find solutions that is not yet discovered, or like do research and find like, okay, where do we need to dig deeper? So it's really fun to see students really taking on these challenges and really do nice things.
That's interesting. Yes, I think it has been a very challenging process for me, but it's also very rewarding. So every time I accomplish a small milestone in my project, I'm so proud and I'm so happy about it. But it's very interesting. And I know that, like you mentioned, you can either do focusing on industry or with research groups. And I know that I'm doing with an internal research group here at LIU, but maybe you can share your experience with an external source. How did you find this thesis? How has been the process? And then maybe we can show people like a comparison.
So yeah, like what you said, like I'm doing it with a company. It's related to product design and recyclability. So I was able to find this master's thesis opportunity because our the two divisions that our master's degree is in hosted like thesis fairs and events for professors and PhD students to showcase like what they're research on, what they're working on, what topics, and who are they collaborating with. So fortunately, I found this opportunity through one of my professors. Also, the company previously, I think it was last year, was also invited to one of our lectures to give like a guest lecture. So yeah, thankfully for us, like we had this sort of opportunity from our professors and from our divisions. So yeah.
But would you say that was an easy process, even though you have all the support? But
well, yeah, maybe just to put it there, like you need to exert a lot of effort in applying. You need to read like because it's like applying to a job itself. You need to read about the topic in detail. You need to read more of about the company, what they're doing, what are they aiming at. Because more or less, some companies or some industries can even ask for like an initial project proposal. And if you're gonna submit that, you need to do your homework. So yeah.
yes, and I think not only that, but maybe Miko, you can go a bit further with it. That I think as being internationals, of course, we have many opportunities, but it's not always easy to communicate with different companies, and also because of the language barrier could be, or the type of industry they're working on. So just expectation management maybe for our audience.
Yeah, I mean, in Linköping we have a few industries that are connected to the defense industry, and in that case it could be problematic being a non-Swedish citizen. But I would say that in other companies which is not connected to the defense industry, I would say that usually it's no problem. I think that it's a great need for new people in industry right now, and companies they don't really care about from which country you are. I mean, it's kind of an international environment, and if you look, for example, in the close by science park, it's a really mix of people from all over the world. So I think as an international student, maybe you don't have all opportunities, but you have a lot of opportunities when it comes to both thesis and after your master is finished.
Yeah, that is true. And like JP mentioned, of course, you always have to do your homework. So don't leave it for last minute. Don't have, oh no, I'm a shiny star and they will want me. No, do your proper homework, submit a good CV, a proposal, investigate the company so you have better chances of getting it. On my case, I'm doing with a research group here from LIU, and also I got the recommendation from a teacher of mine. So in general, you can see that it's very good that you are close to your teachers and then you talk to them when you are, especially when you're approaching the thesis part. So they can give you good recommendations maybe and give you some tips and maybe show some projects that you didn't know that were happening and connect you with different research groups. Because, for example, I'm part of the Faculty of Science and Engineering, but my research I'm doing in a partnership with another research group that is part of the climate change research studies. So they are in another faculty, another department, but it's still possible to complement and again do this interdisciplinary researches. But before we close it, before we go to the questions part, I wanted to know, JP, from you, what were your biggest challenges when you started your masters? Could be either, let's do it differently. Let's do one for the masters and one for the moving to another country.
Okay. That's a good point. No? Maybe I'll go first with the masters. So yeah, for the masters, the main change, I won't say challenge, maybe the main change was there are a lot of group works. You need to collaborate with a lot of people. You need to broaden your perspective in which you're looking at it not just through one lens, but through several lenses. And always keep an open mind about it. And always make yourself coachable, trainable, teachable, yeah? Open to new ideas as well. In terms of moving to another country, I need to be honest, like maybe the cold, the winter, the long nights. So yeah, I think both of us come from a very warm and humid environment. So yeah, I think that was the biggest change in terms of moving to Sweden. But yeah, I want to highlight, like, I was blessed to find like a lot of friends, a good network here in Linköping in Sweden. So yeah, it made it fun.
That is nice. Yeah, as I agree with you, I think also for me, like in the study process itself, I think it was more keeping track of myself in a way, so being demanding to myself, because I think we also have a lot of pre-study time in the programs and it can be tricky. So if you are a bit lazy one day and then if you let it take over you, it can be complicated to catch up with all the subjects you have to study. So from the beginning, even though you have a free space on your schedule, please, it's not free. It's for you to study, to review, to read, to take notes. So you don't get, 200 pages to read last minute, the night before an exam. I think that for me was a big shock. And I agree with you with the weather. I think the cold, Sweden is very well prepared for the cold. And for example, even the roads are good. I was biking in the snow because, you have the heated road, so it's pretty good. But I think the the long nights, like the darkness really caught me. But it's also a good chance, like you mentioned, because I think with the university and the different associations, you have the chance to meet people and create a group. And from that, you can also have the opportunity to learn new skills. So I learned a bunch of things. I learned how to knit, how to do crochet, to survive the winter. So it's very nice. But I saw that you agreed with me a lot when I mentioned the being responsible with your studies and keeping track. So maybe if you want to give a final tip or a final perspective.
I mean, of course, it should be a mix. I mean, it should be a mix of doing your studies and also the social part, of course. But I mean, as you said, I mean, try to focus on your studies from day one, and I mean, do what you're supposed to do, not fall behind. Then it will be a lot easier, of course, and you will like avoid re-exams and so on. But I mean, those tips they are just as valid for your bachelor as and your master and the life as a whole. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think one final thing before we move to our Q&A session, it is something fun that people can expect from the Faculty of Science and Engineering. And for example, I will start with a big surprise for me, that it was the infrastructure that the faculty has. So in my program, for example, we have free access to several VR glasses, which are part of our studies, but we can go there, you can go to the classroom, you can use it at any time. So this kind of support was very nice to me. I think it really gave me freedom to develop better projects and to not limit myself, my creativity, for not having resources. So I'll let you think about it. And Mika, is there anything that you think it's really good, that it's, this is a nice thing for students to look for?
Yeah, I mean, we try to have lots of like laboratories at LIU. For example, we have a kind of big workshop in the building where you are usually studying. And we have like lots of different computer rooms with all software needed for all programs. And we also have like smaller areas where there are different kind of equipment. So we try to focus on the more practical things as well.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And how do you think this, like the faculty embraced you? How this infrastructure or the teachers, like what do you think supported you the most during like your journey? That
I think it's a mixture of both. I totally agree with you. Like in terms of infrastructure, I couldn't complain more. Like there are a lot of computer rooms. I like the study environment. The temperature is okay. In terms of the teachers and professors, like I think I was blessed to have professors who were very accommodating, who would take the extra step to help you. Like what I told you a while ago, like I found this master's thesis opportunity because of one of my professors, maybe a lot of my professors, not just one. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, guys. So thank you so much for this talk. And now we will move to our Q&A part. So I see that a lot of you are already sending some questions. But if you are just watching it later on YouTube, thank you so much for watching us. And yeah, hope to see you at LIU. Bye.